Hi, my name is Jim Osgood. I'm the founder and president of Office Finder. I'm here today to talk to you about the three biggest mistakes tenants make. For most businesses, leasing office space is a major commitment. While the cost of your office lease will significantly affect your bottom line, it also has many other important consequences, including employee satisfaction and customer impressions. The bottom line is you want to make sure you don't make any costly mistakes when leasing office space. The biggest mistake made by tenants looking for commercial office space is not engaging the services of a tenant representative. They think it will cost them money. It doesn't. A good tenant representative, like the ones we have at Office Finder, is invaluable in making sure you find the right alternative, negotiate the best possible deal, and avoid costly mistakes. In fact, they do this every day and only get paid when you get what you want. You don't even have to pay for their services. It costs you nothing. It's free. Most landlords hire listing agents, and the tenant rep will share in that fee. If there is no tenant rep, the listing agent keeps the entire fee, and you are on your own. Tenant rep services will save you money by making sure you get the job done right with solid information and advice from an experienced professional. Many tenants don't understand what a good office tenant representative does. A tenant rep does more than just find office space. A good tenant rep will coordinate the entire office leasing process, from helping you define your needs all the way to ensuring your space plan works for you. A good office tenant rep will not only find suitable alternatives, help you negotiate the deal, but also help with information, advice, space planning, and lease review to make sure you get the best deal possible. The second biggest mistakes made by tenants looking for office space is not allowing enough time for the process. Far too often, tenants will not get started early enough and have to settle for less than they could have had otherwise. Now, this applies only for tenants who are looking for conventional space and not executive suite, virtual office space, or co-working space. Typically, a tenant can be in these alternative types of space as soon as the next day, or at least within a month. Tenants looking for conventional space under 10,000 square feet should get started at least 6 months prior to their move-in date. 6 months will allow enough time to find some good alternatives, negotiate the best deal, and have any tenant improvements completed for an on-time move-in. It is true even in a soft market. In fact, even more so, since there will be many more possibilities to investigate. For office tenants over 10,000 square feet, at least 9 months should be allowed, and in many cases even more time than that. The larger the tenant, the more complicated the process, and the more time that needs to be allowed. The third biggest mistake made by tenants is not understanding all of the costs. There are more costs involved in leasing office space than just the rent. Many of these costs are quoted in different fashions, so it can all get quite complicated when comparing alternatives. It becomes difficult to compare proposals on an apple-to-apple basis. In fact, it can even become difficult for an inexperienced tenant representative to decipher the various costs involved in comparing different office space alternatives. First of all, there are several different types of leases, including full service, gross, semi-gross, net, triple net, and other variations of the above. They specify which, if any, expenses the tenant is going to have to pay. How about the base year for operating expense pass-throughs? The base year defines the year in which any excess amount of operating expenses over the base year in which the tenant ends up paying for. If you don't pay attention or don't know, you could find yourself liable to pay for increases over a base year that could be 5 years old and cost you several dollars per square foot right off the bat. What if the building is only 25% occupied? Who will pay for the operating expense pass-through on the vacant space? If your lease is a triple net lease, are the expenses in line with what could be considered normal in your market, or are they somehow higher due to extra landlord fees? What is the norm for your market? Do you know? There are also different levels of tenant improvements which can be included in the lease. Landlords will very often offer a per square foot allowance for tenant improvements. Is this on the net rentable space or the usable area? Or is it from the shell condition or below the ceiling? These are all questions that need to be asked in order to make sure that you're getting the tenant improvements you are expecting to get. Another big one could be the load factor in calculating usable versus rentable space measurement. The load factor is the percentage of space on a floor that is not usable, plus a pro rata share of the building common area. This is expressed as a percentage of usable area. It is known as the common area factor or the loss factor. A typical load factor range is between 10 and 18%. Some inefficient buildings can have load factors as high as 25% or more. Once again, what's the norm in your market? Do you know? The answers to these questions can make a significant difference in the overall cost of renting office space, which is why making mistake number one, not using a tenant rep, the biggest mistake and can be so costly. Understanding all of the leasing costs and being able to communicate that information to you is an important part of what a tenant representative does. It can save you thousands of dollars in avoiding mistakes. Tenant representatives provide many more services to their clients, and there is no cost to you in engaging their services. It costs you nothing, but can save you thousands. If you want to make sure and avoid these mistakes, there is help. Office Finder has helped over 202,000 businesses with their office space needs since 1995. We have local reps in over 550 markets who would be happy to assist you. You can find out more at www.officefinder.com.